Yippee-ki-yay, melon farmer.
Welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. It's your boy, the Big Canucker, and we're having a look at a Microtech here, the Microtech MSI. I'm not even sure what MSI stands for. If somebody knows what MSI stands for, put it in the comments there. I'd love to know. And even if you don't know, what is the most smart-ass thing you can think of MSI standing for? All right. Yeah, so I haven't had this knife very long. I ended up putting it up for sale. This is just not one that's for me. There may be some guys out there who really, really like this knife, but I got to say it falls short on a few things that are really important to me. Let's go over some of the good old specs on this here. Now, the first thing here, it is 8.9 inches long, and we'll give you kind of a comparison, of course. One of the biggest ones people are comparing it to would be, of course, the EDC King herself, the Spyderco Para 2. And I've been carrying this one right here, which happens to be the Vero. And I got to say that it is, a big, big knife. Now, because this Vero is a big monster too as well. But you're talking at about a 375 inch or 385 inch, depending upon which website you go to. I've seen it, both ways. Now, the cutting edge, they say, is 3.35. There's got a little bit of a choil here, of course. So, the Ricasso is quite a bit far back. So it gives you a lot of sharpening to do, and it gives you, I guess, a kind of a sharpening choil, but I wouldn't put my hand there too close. Now, the blade thickness is 0.15, so I'm going to guess that that's probably somewhere around 3.7 mil. So it's fairly thick and stout to begin with, all the way to the end with the sheep's foot. Now, the steel is apt to be, give me 1 second here. Now, like I was saying, the steel happens to be the Bowler M390 MK. Now, the MK is Microtech's kind of proprietary steel. And so what it's doing is it's not losing any of its edge holding abilities. It's gaining a little bit toughness because these are kind of real tactical, tough knives. So like I was saying, these are really quite tough tactical knives. It is the sheep's foot design. Now, the sheep's foot is, despite what some people think, the sheep's foot is a really good EDC blade shape, and it's also a really, really good tactical shape. Now, if you guys are familiar with the Spyderco designed by Michael Janich, I'm trying to think of what it's called, the Yojimbo, and you can see that it's got a really pointy end, and it's got a real kind of straight, flat shelf that's quite a bit more exaggerated than the sheep's foot. Now, what I had learned is when you're doing some sort of kind of, puncturing, especially in a self-defense application, so a blade like this will go in, it'll open up, and then it'll get to be about this wide. That's how much your wound is. Now, when you've got a sheep's foot blade, it opens up, and as it cuts, this thing here kind of spreads it apart, and then it just kind of keeps going. So your wound will end up to be quite a bit bigger than the profile of the blade. Now, this profile is 1.25 inches wide. I think if you're going to go real hard with this, you're going to end up with quite a bit wider than a 1.25 inch wound. And not that we want to do these with our knives. It's just kind of a worst case, very, very worst case scenario. That's kind of what that's for. Now, it is a flat, there's not a hollow grind in here, and it, Microtech is known for its toughness of its knives. So I would say that they would lose a little bit of slicing ability to carry a little bit more toughness. But this is a good slicer in its own. It goes through cardboard really, really well. It just really, really opens it up. Now, when I did take this, I was doing a little bit of hard cutting with it, and I did notice that there is a tiny bit of flex here. Now, that owing to, I think, the fact that there is no kind of steel liners all the way throughout there. There's kind of a cassette here that you've got here, and it's these two knives and that's what's pretty much holding your whole knife mechanism in there. And I think that is something that if you don't have, see, this polymer itself is fairly tough, but I don't think it's as strong as if you're looking at, say, G10, or you're looking at, of course, the high strength aluminum that Microtech is famous for. I think if you've got a high tech aluminum and you've got a nice big liner inside there, or just the aluminum, I don't think you're going to have that movement like you're going to have with this. And that's just a little bit disappointing for a knife that costs, say, in the States, it's about $176. Here in Canada, it's $359. But I'm a little bit disappointed in that. Now, the other thing here that's kind of a little bit bothersome is the ergonomics aren't super fantastic. They're really, really, this polymer is very, very sharp. And this jimping all the way around is just kind of, it's just not as comfortable as I think it could be. I think you've got some super fine jimping here, which is really comfortable, not grippy. And you've got this really wide stuff there. I think that they could take a really good blend between the two is, bigger than this, but smaller than that, right across both surfaces. And then I think you've got a home run as far as jimping. Now, this thing here is tip up and carry only. It's left and right with a deep carry clip. And that is a home run by Microtech. Their clips are fantastic. They go into the pocket very smooth. They've got good retention, and they're really, really deep carry. Their clips are fantastic. They make those in-house, and that is one thing that is excellent with this. Now, it is the crossbar lock, which is quite satisfying to flick when you're going like this. But there again, the detent is kind of really light on this knife. Now, when you open it up here, you can see it does open really well. It's got that kind of extra click, but the spider flick it does spidey flick, but there is some times when it just doesn't really rifle out. And you can kind of misfire. And I have misfired spider flicking this knife. And then when you start to try to do it with the thumb opening, it's kind of slow and cumbersome, or not cumbersome, but it's slow because that detent is so light. There's no resistance whatsoever. I mean, if you push this and then you let that go, it just flies right open. Where this one here, just by itself, I've misfired quite a bit with this knife. Totally. No, the detent is, the bearings in there or whatever is in there. I mean, it is certainly drop shut. It's certainly smooth. There is no side to side, but there is some up and down play, and I don't think you should have that. Now, the other thing is this knife is not very ergonomic. I mean, I've got some kind of fat digits, and you can see how it's kind of pressing into the meat of your knuckles, and it just is not super comfortable at all. I'm pretty sure that the aluminum version is a lot more ergonomic as far as inside here. This is kind of sharp. I don't know what it takes to kind of maybe grind that down and thin that down a little bit, but that's something I think they should have looked at. 400% sure. And just the overall comfort of the knife just really isn't there, especially if you're doing, I think, some repetitive cutting. You're going to get some blisters and you're going to get some sore hands with this knife. I mean, it's a cool looking knife. It looks cool for sure. It does have some positive things going for it. Like, I mean, it was built in the USA. So if that's important to you, if you want to support homegrown, that's important to you. That's, something that you could bank on that way. But other than that, I don't think this one is hanging around with me for me. It's just not as comfortable as I think it could be. And I just don't enjoy the knife like I would some of the other ones, like this Vero Engineering knife. The ergonomics on this knife are like it's night and day. I mean, it's absolutely night and day between these two, and that's why this one's got to go. So I sure hope you liked what you saw here. I hope you guys, don't forget to subscribe as well as leave a comment and share this. Help me spread my voice. I appreciate it so much. We're so close to 2,000 subscribers. So don't forget to hit the old subscribe, thumbs up, and hit the bell notification to get notified of other videos that I've got on. But please stay safe out there. Keep your stick on the ice, the shiny side up. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.